Hey y'all, this is David, the Georgia photographer, and today I'm coming to you live instead of making a video because I don't have time to make videos here lately. The backstory on that, I'll just give you the elevator pitch version. Um, I have a guy in the machine shop who had to have medical surgery, so he has been unable to come to work. He's down, doctor's orders, so I'm stepping in to fill his shoes. And because of that, we've been way behind on production, so I'm just having to spend a lot more time working in the machine shop instead of making videos. So today I have the opportunity for a little while to stream live and to get a video going for you guys. And by doing this, I hope to be able to make it something for you guys to enjoy. So, what I'm going to talk about today is my trip to Greece. We just got back about a week and a half ago, and I wanted to share some of my thoughts on what I took as equipment, as well as share some of the photos with you that I captured while I was there. Our trip was centered around following the Apostle Paul on his journeys to the different cities, and Thessalonians and Corinthians, and we went to Ephesus where the Ephesians were, Berea where he hung out with the Bereans. So we went all the way around the country, rode out to the Isle of Patmos. It was a really cool trip. So I tried to get photos of the trip as well as historical kind of documenting whatever, but I wanted to share with you the kind of kit I took. Now, I got to do a little prep work here. Give me just a second. See if I can find my little doohickey. There it is. All right. I'm going to drop this in the chat. I'm not sure who's watching right now. Somebody's watching. It says so. Might be me. I don't know. But it shows I'm live, so we're online. There we go. But yeah, I think somebody joined. Yeah, drop a comment. Let me know. Yeah. But anyway, let me get my other screen pulled up. There we go. All right, I'll scroll back up to the top. I wound up taking something like about 1,500 photos in 2 weeks. I try to limit what I photograph so that I don't have such a heavy editing job after the trip, because I didn't take a computer with me. The goal of my travel was to travel light enough that everything I was going to take with me on the trip would walk onto the plane. Everything. Clothes, cameras, whatever. That way I didn't have to check a bag. And I did that. Now, you have to make some compromises when you do this. Like, I didn't take my notebook computer. By doing that, I eliminated a bunch of weight as well as bulk from my system. I didn't have to take the charger. I didn't have to take up the external hard drive. I didn't have to take any of that stuff. I just relied on the memory cards to hold up until I got back, which they did. Now, all I took for camera equipment was the Nikon Zf, the 50mm f1.8s, and this little gem. Now, I'm going to set this down again. Y'all seen that camera and lens combo a little bit. This is a really cool lens. This is a lens, okay, it's got a simple adapter ring. Because it's an AIS lens, it has no electrical contacts. It can't talk to the camera electrically, so there's no point in taking an FTZ. So I got this simple Photo-C F mount to Z mount adapter ring and mounted it like that. Now we get it a lot reattached. But this is the 25 to 50mm f4 AIS. This lens gives you a little bit of wide angle, so if you're in a tighter space, because I've learned this from other trips where I've traveled, there's times when you're in kind of a close quarter scenario and you need a little more, you need a little wider angle than 50, and 50 sometimes is just too tight. But I normally shoot 50 on everything. So 50 mil is wide open on this, or racked out, or however the word it is. And that allows me to shoot my normal field of view pretty much all the time. F4 is plenty fast enough wide open for low light, because the ZF has really good ISO performance that I have come to learn. Good morning, Phil. Thank you for dropping in. So this became the lens of choice for me. What wound up happening was I shot this lens the whole trip. Now, it's not weather resistant. The reason I took the 50 f1.8 was because it's weather sealed. So if it was going to be rainy, which they was calling for some rain, I was thinking I might need the weather sealed lens, but I didn't. So I ran this one the entire trip. So at the end of the day, the 50 1.8 stayed in my pack, wrapped up in t-shirts to keep it from getting banged up. And this rode on the camera the whole time. Now, this lens is heavy because it's all metal and glass. That's the drawback to this lens. And I can't find a modern Z mount counterpart to it. The closest you can get is a 24 to 72.8, which would be fine. And it's about the same footprint. And that may be what I end up with for future operations. But that lens worked beautifully for me. It's, let's see, if I just hop over to here, you can see I'm in the little picture here. Let me move myself down to the corner. There we go. But just to give you an idea, you can take snapshots with it. This is in Thessaloniki. We were waiting on some other people to show up from the tour, and we were having coffee down by the GNC. Let's see. Yeah, the GNC with Teresa. You're wanting those memories. What's ironic is I made a photo book of my trip and got exactly 0 photos of me in the photo book. But there were some dramatic skies. I haven't edited it. These are all straight out of camera JPEGs. So this image will turn out to be a lot more interesting once I edit the raw file. It's got a lot more color depth to it than what the JPEG captured. When it was that evening, it was very orange and very red and very powerful sky. But these are the ones that I saved in the folder. What you're looking at isn't a painting. It's a woven silk rug, and they framed it. That's an actual woven rug. This was in Turkey. We went to a place where they obviously wove rugs, but it was mind-blowing to see what they could do with a woven rug. This is a woven rug. Let's see if I can zoom in on it. Yeah. If you zoom in a lot, you can start to see it, but if you back it off, it looks like a painting. And I thought that was pretty impressive. But yeah, that's some kind of a scene out of some, like it's a Thomas Kincaid painting, I think, that they mimicked. But yeah, it was pretty impressive. Here's how they capture the silk fibers. I get like little photos like this to remember stuff. Look at all the iPhones. I thought that was kind of ironic, but she's extracting the silk fibers from the silkworm cocoons right here. It's kind of hard to see it, but she's got about 20 or 30 fibers in this photo running over her hand, and she's about to wind them up and make a thread out of them. It takes like 20 or 30 of these to make one thread. It's pretty impressive. But I was able to get, let's see, to give you the perspective idea, you can get close-up photos with the 50 mil field of view, like this column, this Doric column. And then if I wanted wider, let's see where I pushed it out wide. Since it don't record, this one looks like it might be. There was lots of cats. Maybe that is 50 mil. I just happened to catch the cat at the right time. Cats everywhere. So were dogs, and there's an interesting story about that. I don't know. I didn't use 25 mil a lot, but I didn't really land in between but on maybe 2 or 3 photos. It was kind of interesting to look back through it, but most of my stuff was shot at 50 mil because that's my focal length I'm used to seeing. But occasionally I would and I capture photos of things to remember stuff. Like what you see here is KFC flavored Ruffles, ketchup flavored Ruffles. That's just salted. These are oregano flavor. 0 stars. Would not recommend. I tried them. I thought they'd be great. They're not. Cheeseburger flavor. But the KFC ones caught my attention. That's what I focused on when I took the picture. That's pretty cool. But they had a lot of different odd flavor of potato chips there. Friends, this guy, his name's Ken. He shoots Canon. I'll overlook that. But let's see. Let me pull up my chat window to make sure I ain't had something happening. But I was trying to capture the photos to get, these are kind of, when I take pictures of signage, it's to anchor the next photos past it. And he happened to be standing in frame. But yeah, this is on the Isle of Patmos, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that's what this is. But we would go into these monk monasteries, and all of this is hand carved by Russian wood carvers for the Orthodox Church. And if you see the sign says no photography or video recording allowed. And the reason I have a photo is because if you stood outside the doors, they were cool with it. The moment you passed through that threshold, it was a no-go on taking photos. So you were allowed to stand outside and shoot through the door. There was a monk literally standing out of frame just to the side, to the left, camera left of this photo that was standing there. And he didn't have a problem at all with me taking a photo through the door, because I asked him, pointed to the camera and pointed in, because he didn't speak any English. He only spoke Greek. And he just nodded yes. So I took my picture from the doorway. But it was just, if you've never seen this kind of ornate woodwork, it's something to see. It is truly impressive woodwork. But they would do all of these paintings and frescoes everywhere. And these all tell stories from the Bible. And I don't remember who all these people are on this arch, but these are historical accounts out of the Bible that are referenced in the Greek Orthodox Church. But this building is built in, like, I want to say this one here was built in 1000 AD, if I remember right. That's why that wooden beam looks like it does. It's if I'm guessing right, it's original. But these monasteries are all super old. Let me scroll down. Oh, and then I get the strange. It's like, now if I remember right, she had another piece of luggage on the other side of the motorcycle or the scooter, and they were about to get off the ferry and go on to I believe they were going to Patmos. I think we rode the ferry from Samos to Patmos. Yeah. So they were going somewhere on Patmos on that scooter with their luggage, and that was how they were going to carry it. The moment that ramp landed, buddy, they were off. Now, let's see. Took photos. We stopped in Athens. That's the Acropolis in the background. This is out the hotel window. No, this was from the roof of the hotel. Out my window, I couldn't see over this. The one with the blue windows is the Wyndham, and I couldn't see over it because we're on like the 3rd floor in the hotel. But if you went to the roof, you could see the Acropolis on the skyline. That shot handheld. I don't even remember the specs. Let's look and see if it'll tell us what the shutter speed was. 1/15 of a second, handheld. I got some exposure compensation in it. It looks like a 1/3 of a stop. That was an accident. It wasn't really meaning to do that. 2000 ISO. The 25 millimeters, because that's what I put in the non-CPU lens data. It's at 50 at this point. But you kind of get the idea. I shot it wide open at f4 to get as much light as possible. Most likely that's right. It guesses the aperture based on the exposure and the millimeters that you put in it, and it'll just stick something in there. I found sometimes it'll be off by a stop. It could have been f5.6, because I found the lens is a lot sharper at f5.6 than it is at f4. So I normally will show you it stop down at least one stop. Let's see. The woven rug pictures were amazing, and that's a great view from the roof of the hotel. Yeah. Out of our window, I set my camera up. The balcony had a wide handrail, and I was able to prop the camera on it. And what I done to keep from letting the camera like fall off the rail, I ran the strap around the post. So if it fell over the edge, it would get caught and it wouldn't fall to the street. But I did a bunch of these long exposures. This was the second night, and it's kind of cool. What I was trying to do is not overexpose this building, which it's still overexposed. To get any kind of light trails at all, it almost guaranteed you had to blow out these little buildings in the middle. But the day before, there should be some more of them. Yeah, here we go. I got some what I felt like was much better long exposures. And see, there's that Wyndham Grand. Well, the W's burn out, but you know, there's a lot of activity here. And you can see this day that marquee wasn't lit up, so it's not overexposed. Now all these little storefronts in here are, which that's just part of the game, I guess. But if you go back, this one's kind of cool, but I like the one that has the cars a little bit ghosted in it better, and then this bus trying to come through. But it's just cool photos, you know. Let's see. Oh, that's our friend. She twisted her ankle. I missed one somehow. Yeah. I don't know about this, the way this car turned out. They came up to the point and stopped because it's a roundabout. And then apparently they drifted back a little bit out of the lane somewhat, and it moved them back on their headlight. I don't know about that one, but you wind up, you try to go to these places with these historical landmarks like this, all right, and you want to get these photos of these things, but you have this. Look at all the people. It was unbelievable, the quantity of people that was here. And they regulate the number of people. You go through a turnstile and they count you in and count you out, so that there's no more than a certain amount on the top up of the Acropolis at any given time. And you have to show up. You have an appointment time and everything. But this was to go through the gate to get in. And you can just see it was just buried in people. And I thought that's an interesting photo of its own right, just to capture the people. But there was a bunch of interesting stuff. Like, there's a story behind these little female columns on this little side porch of this building. There's 6 of them. These are all replicas. 5 of the originals are in the museum next door to the Acropolis. The 6th one is in the British Museum. Why does the British Museum have one of them? I don't know. But they have one. But yeah, it's just different things you try to capture along the way. Let's see here. Detail photos of like little objects they found in the archaeological digs. I think this was in Corinth. And the one in the center here with the 2 roosters on it is unbroken. It's original 1st century AD, I think they said, or maybe 2nd century AD. So it's like 1800 years old at the newest, and it's unbroken. Several of these are repaired. If you'll notice, the one on the left has some spots where the paint's missing. That's where they made pieces out of clay and glued the rest of the fragments into the pot to give you an idea what the pot shape was. So you'll see that a lot, or they'll glue them back together. You can look at the ones on the right and see the cracks where they've glued them back together. But that one, they was really happy the fact that they got that one that wasn't broken. But there's all sorts of stuff they found in these sites. These are little figurines that are like 6-8 inches tall. Little, tons of pottery. And then this has to do with the panels on the ends of those temples. You have the little gable at the top. They'll put some statues in that. But down right below the gable, they've got these square panels. And they'll put these little scenes in them. And there'll be like depictions of battles and the gods doing something from ancient Greece, you know. And they've put this back together in the museum best they could. All sorts of stuff. We went in so many of these museums. Oh, I am in a picture. I just saw it. Let me go back to that one. Which one was it? It was this one. Yeah, there I am right there. So I did get a photo of me. But when I go on these trips, see, these are all friends of ours now, and they were playing cards one night. So I grabbed a photo of them playing cards. You know, it's just memories. I was wondering if I got some of the graffiti, but maybe I avoided it. When we was in Athens, there was so much graffiti like this. Here's some, yeah. You can see it along the building. This was a very, very common scene in Athens. Like literally everything is painted like this, it seemed like. You would think there was a spray paint factory that was running a fire sale, because it's shocking how much graffiti is in Athens. And it's this sort of stuff like you see here. I knew I captured a piece of it somewhere, but it was just everywhere. Like you couldn't look up without seeing it. See, got this picture of this sign. Look on the wall. You know, this is some really fancy restaurant on the sidewalk, spray painted to death in graffiti. Let's see. Tried to get the sunset. I think I captured this image. No, that was the sunset. Where's it at? It's this one. No. That one's almost got it. I had to move on the roof. It was this picture. I moved and got a better photo. What you see is there's a mural here and a mural here. And I don't know what they're meaning, but they'll paint the whole side of a building excuse me, with a mural. And if you look in the background, you can see over here there's another one that's in color. But they'll paint these huge apartment buildings with these full-size murals, and it's really cool to see. And I was able to get a couple of them in the frame, along with some graffiti on the rooftop and the bottom edge of the frame there. But there was another thing that was real interesting. The city is so old. Let's see if I can find the photo that shows, I think it's on the second day. Yeah, that is the second day. So let me scroll back up. Yeah, here we go. This is off the rooftop looking straight down. This building's essentially abandoned, obviously, between two functioning buildings. And it was not unusual to see this. Let's see if I go back. No. Oh, yep, traditional Greek restaurant. I sent that to my daughter. Did you see? Here's another one that was just from the same perspective. And you wondered, you know, why would a property fall into such disrepair like that? But I don't know. I don't understand it. It was interesting to see, though. Scroll down here. But, you know, you try to get interesting angles of common things in these museums, that so it's not just the straight on, okay, I've took this picture, like you've seen people with their iPhones just snapping photos. I wanted it to be a little more of a more interesting frame. But you can see the ZF and that 25 to 50 millimeter done really well. There's this a lot. This is our whole tour group being spoken to by the guide, and I just kind of eased around and took a photo of the whole group. Let's see, some of this is from Delphi. Yeah, the Oracle of Delphi, as they say. This was the temple that they operated the Oracle out of. That's what's left of it, of course. And they stacked up these columns. There was a huge earthquake that leveled the whole complex. I don't know, like 586 AD or something like that. And that's all that's left of the original building. The Romans came in and built some of it. The Greeks initially built it. It's like, and then when they showed up to do the archaeological dig in the 1800s, a team of French archaeologists showed up to do the research. There was a Christian Orthodox village built on top of the site. There's a photo in the museum of the whole site with the village on it, and they actually bought the land around the corner and moved the whole village around the corner away from here so they could dig up the ancient remains and find the archaeological dig. It's kind of interesting to see that. I should have got a photo in the library of that, but I didn't. But there's like all these, like I am infatuated with things like the different kinds of construction techniques. Like if we look right here, you see square cut stone walls. All right. And then if you back up and you go, this was coming into the site. Look at the polygonal fitted stones. All right. They had to cut those stones to fit. And then you got square cut stones like at a different period. Like, did the Greek do this and the Romans did this down here or what? Because it's interesting that they'd use two different construction techniques on the same place. But the place existed for like 1,000 years. So it's very probable, you know. It's just really interesting. All this, what looks like a river flowing through this valley, is olive trees. This is a single olive grove that has over 1 million olive trees in it. It goes out of frame in both directions. It goes way back up the valley in the other direction too. But it was real hard to get decent photos in central Greece because of this constant haze from the Aegean. It was like it was trying to be foggy all day long. Here's another detail I try to get. See all the Greek writing carved into all the blocks? Like, this was everywhere. These little, it was just interesting to see. Like, you know, I want to capture details, broad landscapes like this. So you can see here you got the square construction, the polygonal construction, loose stone, rubble construction. It's all in one photo. For me, it makes sense, but let's see. I don't know what town this is. Oh, here's something for the photography geeks. Found this old photo store. Look at the signage. I would love to have them illuminated signs. That'd be cool. The Kodak signs were all over Greece. But the Fujifilm sign I only saw in Delphi. That was the only place. But down here on the end in this little rack, you want to see something make you sad, through the window, look at all these Superior, Fujicolor, Kodak Gold, another Superior. These boxes have film in them. I'm pretty sure they don't look like they've been opened and taped shut. But yeah, this is all film to fit in boxes or fit in 35 millimeter cameras. Agfa 100. There's like a gold mine of film here, and it's all probably ruined because it's been sitting in this window of this store for 25 or 30 years. They had a few point and shoot cameras stuck in here. But inside the store, I stuck my camera against the window. It's knickknacks. Now, in the very back, it's hard to tell from here, but there is a little bit of photography stuff, like right in here, and there was maybe a couple of memory cards I could see through there, and maybe some batteries. But it was almost all knickknacks through the window. Thought that was funny. But yeah, those rolls of film in the window. Hey, Adrian, how you doing? Hey, there's C2C Disciple. Hearing stones cut, and I'm like, cool, Machu Picchu. But then saw the columns, even better. Good morning. Let's see. Oh, you'll see in the Greek Orthodox churches, you'll see this logo. What this is the double-headed eagle of the Roman Empire when Constantine moved the capital to Constantinople, which is Istanbul, Turkey today. So they had two capitals, Rome and Constantinople, at that point. So they made this standard up at that time. And Constantine was the first Roman emperor to say that Christianity was cool and stopped like persecuting the Christians and feeding them to the lions and all that stuff. So at that point, where was I going with this? Oh, the Greek Orthodox Church was kind of formed, and they adopted that standard as their logo. So that's what that's about. That's why you see that weird double-headed eagle with the crown and the cross. That's adaptation from the Roman Empire in that period. And then I saved one, but I've got several photos of these monasteries on. This is in Metrovia, Greece. There's a town, you can see the town in the valley right below them, but there's like 7 of these monasteries built on these stone spires, and they did it to hide from the invaders and protect themselves essentially. And like we went in one. This one was the monastery of the Holy Trinity, I think was the name of it. And it's got a cable car that goes across the chasm. You can kind of see the cabling there. We pulled off at a roadside stop to be able to get these photos. But yeah, the monasteries were beautiful and foreboding. But you can kind of see right here where they carved a staircase up the mountain. You can actually walk up from the valley to this one. You can hike up from the city up through this valley and then go up to it if you're really interested. Phil's talking about this. Yeah, the light was coming in good that day. It really was. And that's not a textured door for textured purposes. They made the lumber out of trees. Those are hand-hewed boards. At least that's the way I understood it. They might have textured it after they built the door, but it's a handmade door. But I wanted the logo just because of the texture mainly. It does look good. Let's see. Yeah, here's another monastery. Looking between two stones from one to another. You can see the road that comes up the valley. We drove up that road to get in there. And then there's another. That's the one that we just saw, but from a different angle. I'm pretty sure that's the other one. Maybe not. I don't remember. There's like 7 of them total. But trying to get interesting compositions of that stuff is kind of tough. And this is a different angle. That's the one that I think we went to. Pretty sure. You can drive up, and then they've got a bridge you walk across, and you walk up a bunch of stairs to get in it. I'm pretty sure that's the one we went to. I don't really remember, to tell you the truth. They had to make their own water storage, so they made a barrel. Yes, that's handmade out of trees and chisels, and it holds something like, I think they said 3,000 liters. So, everything's measured in liters there. So, what is that, 1,000 gallons roughly, 800 gallons of water, something like that. And they used it up until about 50 years ago. That's how they stored their water, was in this thing they made. They cobbled it together like this. And I thought that's pretty cool. But I think this was shot at 25 millimeters, so I could get more of it in frame. Here's what I was telling you about the Kodak logos. See, that one's faded real bad. Them things were everywhere. It became like a Where's Waldo to see if I could find the next one. Oh, we went by where they found Philip the First, I think, his tomb. They excavated it and found all these crowns made out of gold. Imagine this is made in like, what was it, 400 BC when Alexander the Great existed, because it was his dad that was in this tomb. And Yeah, there's several of these things. Let's see. Here's one. It's hard to photograph gold with light shining on it. It blows out almost instantly. These are all, let's see if I can zoom in a little. It's gold leaf cut into the shape of little oak leaves on the crown. But yeah, that's hard to shoot. Handheld with a vintage camera, manual focus, and the light shining directly on it. Probably needed a circular polarizer. There was another one of those gold oak leaf crowns because apparently that was their status symbol back in that period. That was pretty cool. Then I was trying to do street photography, and I got this scene. And then this girl walked in the frame as I was shooting the photos. So I don't know which one I like better, that one or that one. I like the silhouettes of the guys walking by the bottom of the building in this one. This was in a town called Thessaloniki as we walked around, because I ended up getting one of my more favorite photos. I talked about this one the other night. We were eating at a TGI Fridays, and I just set the camera on the table and pushed it out to 25 millimeters. And I just started taking slow, long exposures. Let's see here. Let's see what the time on this one is. 1/8 of a second exposures, wide open, just so I could get the motion, and then everything in behind them would be frozen. And I thought that's a pretty cool picture. That's 4 kids, just kind of having fun, wandering around, messing with each other. I took several of those photos, and then this is handheld to get the motorcycle. Let's see, what's the shutter? This is 1/15 a second. It's half as slow. But with vehicles moving, they got a lot more movement in the time, so you get better movement blur. I wanted all these little stores in the background to show, and then the bike riding by. Gives it kind of cool contrast. I'm shooting, Hassan's asking what camera do I use. I use the Nikon ZF, and I was shooting with this 25 to 50 millimeter f4 Nikon AIS lens adapted to it. That was my travel kit. And all I took all 4 batteries and the charger, but next time I won't. I'll take just these Viltrox batteries, because you just need a USB charger for these. That compresses the kit significantly. When you eliminate the battery charger from the bag, that thing is bulky. The Nikon battery charger takes up a good bit of space that I didn't have to spend, because these batteries work great. I had 0 issues with them. And I went through one battery and got into a second one time. And out of the rest of the trip, every day I was able to function all day long on a single cell. So it worked out great for that. Let's see. But you can tell how ancient cities are by looking at how the buildings are held up. This is a church, Greek Orthodox church. I'm going to show you the inside in a second. And this is all these bricks you see like this. This is Roman brickwork. So this is from probably the 5th century AD, somewhere in that neighborhood. But yeah, that's Roman brickwork holding up the bottom of the building. And then once you got inside, 25 millimeter saves the day. That's what the inside looks like. It's built in the classic style. It's got a wood roof on top of the masonry and construction and everything else, columns and all that jazz. The columns were kind of special because I think they said that like no two were the same. See how the tops, so that one's Corinthian. I don't know what you classify this one as. There was a bunch of really interesting masonry work, but then you got down underneath it, and we went down into the catacombs, I guess, and that's Roman brickwork from the period. Like it's all archways underneath. Let's see, that was outside. Yeah, all this basement complex is Roman. So it's, 1,500 years old holding that church up. I was impressed by that. All right. Oh, what have I done? Come on, hold on a second. I'm back. I have a hot corner set up here, and I hit that hot corner and locked the screen, and then couldn't type the password to save my life. Yes, Terrell, that's what blew my mind, was the fact that the Roman brickwork was 1,500 years old and still there doing its job. And this church had burnt down once, and they built it back. I don't remember when it burnt, but there was a fire, and the whole hillside, all of the structures on that hillside burned down, and this church was part of it. And only one little corner of the church didn't burn, and all the brickwork held, and they built back on top of it. But yeah, what you see in, like, when I open this photo here up, all of this was destroyed. That's all new. Like within, I think they said it was all 50 years old. So, it's like it was in the 1970s, I guess, when it burnt down, which would have been really sad. But the basement was all original Roman. Oh, and then you got to take pictures of the bazaar. Let's see if I can show you. This bus is about to enter that alleyway, and you can see how much room it has for that mirror to clear. The other side is just as tight or tighter. That's Roman brickwork he's driving through, by the way. And bus after bus after bus threaded through that doorway into this castle, like embattlement on top of the mountain overlooking Thessaloniki. And it's like, man, how did they not destroy them buses on that? Turning around looking the other way, this is what you saw, the city skyline. Fun fact, I have my Nikon ZF set up for face and eye detect. And it also has a mode set that I don't remember setting, but it may be default, to where once it detects the face, it sets the exposure for the face. So that's why the city is blown out in the background down here. It's because it exposed for her face. Let's see if we can see me in the reflection of her sunglasses. Yeah, I'm in there. Barely, but I'm there. That's funny. See, I'm right here. That's my hat. But as you can see, the vintage AIS lens worked just fine. I had great success with it. Oh, we went for a walk the first day we were in Thessaloniki. We just walked down the road from the hotel, and the hotel had what I don't know if y'all do much of the liminal spacing stuff. It had a second floor that was abandoned essentially. It's just there. You can't. I'd use the stairs. And long story, but the elevators are terrible in Athens or in Greece. They're real slow. They take forever to call. The stairs are just faster. So I show up going down the stairs to go outside, and there's this weird floor that's essentially abandoned. There's nobody there. There's a table, but look, it's like, see, there's the elevators. And it's just like, there's just nothing here. I thought that's a cool liminal space photo, so I grabbed some pictures of that. The first one really set it up. But we walked down the street, and here's just this little in-town Greek Orthodox church. You can see the fancy brickwork on the outside. And I thought, it's pretty. Let's step inside if it's unlocked. Well, it was. This was the inside. You can see it's a long exposure because the priest is blurry. Let's see. I'll look again, see what the time was. Half second. By the way, this is handheld. Half second exposure. If I can catch something. And it's reasonably sharp. There's a little bit of vertical motion in it, looks like. But it's kind of focused back here instead of back there. That's part of it, is the bokeh's pushing it out. But you can see the chairs are pretty sharp to be handheld at a half second. The ZF has pretty darn good stabilization. I was kind of impressed by that. But yeah, this is just some church on the street. I just happened to open the door and step inside, and that's what we saw. It was impressive. Tim would love that. Yeah, he would. That's true. Time for Ron and to interview you and Tim again. And considered of the Romans not make spaces for the buses. Spot metering. Let me look, Phil, because I haven't adjusted it since. The metering is, no, I'm using matrix metering. It's full matrix. I think it has that face detect metering going on as well. You know, it's like a sub menu item. Because every time it detected a face, it would expose for the face automatically. I didn't have to do anything. It just did it. All right, and then this is in Philippi. I was infatuated by, this is Latin, which was when the Romans were there. So it's not, that's Octavius, I'm pretty sure was the emperor at the time this was carved. I'm pretty sure that has that says Octavius. I don't know how to read Latin, but it was interesting because the Romans built everything the same. Let me see, where's the overhead view? Right here. This is the Roman Forum, which is like their town square. And all around the Forum, over here you can see these little walls. These were the shops. And like the little storefronts would all be around it. So you could go down there to get whatever you needed, whether it be food or cloth or what have you. You bought it in the Forum. And that's where we found that engraving. That's where Paul was tried before the magistrate. Let's see, I think I even got, yeah, right here. We were standing in the spot where the magistrate's office was. Right behind me, I stepped up on a rock and took this photo of the group while Brian was explaining it. But yeah, this was where they took him that time, him and Silas, to try him and beat him and all that stuff. But then you have like this logo, this spear and shield, I think are Greek. They might be Roman. I don't remember. But it shows up over and over and over. It's Greek, because that's Greek. See, that's Greek carvings in the same place as the Latin Roman text. But yeah, that's a Greek symbol. I've got to where I recognize some of them. You know, they stand out. But yeah, that weird W symbol is a Greek symbol, obviously. The two T's, that's a pi symbol, actually, if I had to guess. Trying to see if there's anything. Oh, don't tell anybody, but I touched an artifact. That's a handmade Roman brick from like probably the 3rd, 4th, maybe 5th century AD. At least a fragment of it. So I was able to hold a brick made by someone 1,500 years ago. I put it back. I thought that was interesting to see that ancient brick. We went to a lot of places, saw a lot of stuff that I don't remember. Like, I don't really remember the story of this memorial in front of this church. It was explained to me, but I don't really remember it. I'm pretty sure this is when the angel talked to Saul outside of Damascus and sent him to Greece to spread the gospel. I'm pretty sure that's what this story's talking about. But I don't remember. And it's all in Greek, so I can't read it. It's Greek to me. Yeah, I know. But I did see some cool stuff standing in the same spot. That's a Roman aqueduct in the background. Of course, it's not in operation now, but the duct work, the carryover, whatever you call this, the arches, is still present today. I mean, the road goes under it. This road passes through it. I thought that was interesting. And then the first day, I went for a photo walk. They got me a picture of a cat. Let's see here. This was a coffee shop. I thought that was a pretty cool scene. I liked the way it was lit. They really like coffee there. There is so much coffee drinking. This was a little cafe that I thought was a cool photo. This is shot at 25 millimeters. What's the 1/125th of a second, ISO 4000. It's saying 35, but it was more like 25 if I remember right. I think I racked it all the way out. Like I said, at this point I may not have set the focal length, and it may have still been set for a different lens, because I was setting it to 25 millimeters in the non-CPU data once I switched it over. Another shot of the aqueduct. Yeah, that was a cool picture. That was right down the street from where we were staying that night. This is in a little town called Kavala. The ancient city of Philippi was where the reason we were here. It was right up the road from this place. And now, what I have shown you is my keepers. Let me switch back over to me for a minute. Move to here, but I don't have enough screens anymore. I have 2 monitors right now. I don't have 3 monitors going anymore. But what I was showing you was the keeper folder out of my trip. So out of the keeper folder, I pulled out how many pictures? Let me see. Properties. I pulled out 76 to print a photo book with, and they're in a separate folder. And I don't remember if I think I copied them. Yeah, I did. They're duplicates. But I plucked out 76 and I printed a photo book of the trip out of the 76. And of course, the pictures in the folder are memory pegs from the trip more than they are like specific kinds of things. Like, there's a lot of photos of Teresa in front of stuff, typical tourist photos, photos of the crew that we were with, of certain places to remind me of things, certain details, and like the bus we rode. It was just kind of neat to me, you know. It's more of a personal thing. It's not that it's like special, but let's see here. If I jump back over, you can see the photo of the potato chips made it in. Photo of the cat at the beginning I was talking about made it in. Some of the architecture stuff from some of the places. I think that that board in front of that church, yeah, the door with the logo on it's in there. It's just stuff that was interesting. And like I said, and the group photos, the churches. And it kind of goes through the whole thing. Like this is a pretty cool photo. What this is about is this is the start finish line in the stadium in Olympia, where the Olympics were first done. The Greeks built this in like 800 BC or something. And that's the start finish line. And it's, I don't remember how many yards, 600 feet measured by Hercules, supposedly, is how long it is. I think it's like 185 yards, roughly, is the length. And the race was down and back. And sometimes they went around a bunch of times. You know, it's kind of like the Olympics are now. But, yeah, that's a solid marble start-finish line. Yeah, here you go. There's what the stadium is. You can see down to the end and back. The actual original Olympic Stadium. But yeah, all that stuff's in there. This was the Temple of Zeus after the earthquake. See all the columns and how they just scattered around and piled up like rubble. Well, that's exactly what they are, but of course, the camera shop photo made it in because I like the camera logos. This is a handwritten Bible from, like, I want to say this one was in 800 AD. And it was in the monastery, and they were using it up till just a few years ago. Now, I thought that was pretty impressive. Now it's in a humidity-controlled environment inside the case, inside a glass case where they control all the atmosphere around it. I don't remember if they said they purged it with nitrogen or whatever, but all of these things were, all these ancient books, and there was a bunch of them, were inside these climate-controlled cases in these museums and these monasteries. It was impressive. Of course, you can't read none of it, but then all of these are artifacts from the church over time. And as time would progress, these things are actually technically worn out, and they took them out of service and replaced them with a new one. And that's why you see multiples of certain items. And over time, they would, like I said, they'd wear them out, so they'd get a silver or goldsmith to craft them a new one, and then they'd replace it, and they just saved them. So then when they built the museum, they put all that stuff in it. So yeah, all this stuff is super old. Like, it's nothing to see one of these weird little things hanging from the chains to be 1,000 years old. But yeah, this is the stuff that went into the book. But you get the idea. But yeah, the whole trip was shot with this. You have the camera and that lens. And like I said, this lens was taken just as a spare to back up. Yeah, I took the 51.8S. Let me get my chat window back up. I took the 51.8 because if it started raining, the AIS lens isn't weather sealed. So I could switch to a weather sealed lens, weather resistant, whatever you want to call it. You know, you can get the weather sealed lenses in the rain and it won't ruin them. So that was my game plan. I took a weather sealed lens, and then I took a multi-purpose, a versatile lens that would give me a little bit of zoom. You got 25 to 50 millimeters, because there's times when it's just a little tight in these kind of trips. And I thought that would be a real handy lens for that. And it worked out. And like I said, I know now just to take these batteries with a USB-C cable, and I'm golden. Just a USB-C charger, and these are fine. They work great for me the whole trip. I did have the Nikon lens or batteries, and I used one of them one day, and the charger and the time to charge it was so long. It took all night to charge it back up. I thought, this is just a hassle. So now my kit even compressed a little more. Now I can get these USB-C charged batteries, and I don't have to worry about it. One more of these, and there's no way I'll run out in a day's time. Because I don't film with the camera very much. I didn't film anything at all while I was there. I just took still photos. And that's a very David Sailor zoom. What photo editor do you use? Okay, let's see. Alright, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'll open it up here. Let me hop back over. This is my photo editor, Darktable. I do my raw photo edits here. If I've got to clone something out, I just use GIMP. But I didn't do any cloning at all in those photos. This is from a... Come on, load it up. Oh, there we go. Oh, it's not in there. Okay. Huh. Is it going to let me pull it up? The photo is currently unavailable. I've took everything out and put them in, what's in pictures? There you go. Let me see this one. Ignore all that. But this allows me to edit the RAWs. You get all the stuff over here to edit them. I just need a picture. Let's just pick one from something. Here we go. These are the JPEGs. If I was going to do it right, I'd pick a RAW. Let's just pick this one. That one will do. All right. I took the cigarette sign. But you get over here and then you got like local contrast. This is essentially like clarity. You turn it on, you can play with it, and you can see it's doing stuff to the histogram. No, I don't want that. I want the exposure. Where's the... There it is. Let's turn it on. Brighten the exposure some. You know, it works. It does what I want. But it has all these different things. Like say you want the highlights pulled back some. You can pull back just the highlights. You can do it in stops of exposure level. It's got some cool functionality. But that's the photo editor I use. If I'm working with RAWs that I really want to like mess with. Now, to be fair, none of these were edited. These are straight out of camera photos. Every single one of them. I done no edits whatsoever. Like I said at the beginning, this photo right here, at some point I will open in Darktable and play with. This is the straight out of camera JPEG. And I just used it. Because it's recording a memory. I do have, I have went into the camera. Let me bring back my chat box. I have went into the camera and adjusted it a little bit in there. You know, you can tinker with the settings in the camera. And what I'm trying to do is, for photos like these, let me get myself back on the main screen. For photos like you see in here, I want to be able to take them out of the camera and use them. For a photo album, they're going to be 5x7s or whatever, maybe even a little less. I printed a 12x12 photo book, and two of them fit on a page most of the time. So they're not like very large, high detail image. I'm not printing 20x30s or anything, so it doesn't really have to be really, really high res or perfect or whatever. But I can get the images out of the camera easily and sort them and then pick the ones I like and not have to really do any edits to them. There might have been one, maybe two, where I messed with it, but most likely not. Because there's a function in the photo viewer. Oh, I got something, mustache hair or something bugging me. Anyway, I'm going to hop back over here and show you this. This is kind of nice. Back into this. Let's say like this picture here. Let me open it. All right. It looks really underexposed. What I didn't want to do is blow out the sky or this stuff here. This was in Turkey. Kasadasi, Turkey, I think is the name of the town. It's a little port city right outside of the ancient city of Ephesus. And we was staying in a hotel on the seafront. All right. But you have this adjust colors button here in Gwen view. So if you open it, it gives you three things you can do. You can make the image brighter or darker. Okay, we can add some brightness. You can add some contrast once you do that. Or you can do this gamma. And you see it does something different from contrast. And so you can play with these functions a little bit and you might can actually get something out of it. So occasionally, if there's one that's a little bit dark, I might go here and add some brightness, pull the contrast up to get rid of the haze look. But I'm pretty sure none of these had it that I can remember. They're pretty well straight out of camera. And let me close that before I accidentally overwrite my file. And that's why some of them look maybe a little washed out like this. This could stand some contrast. So if we brought this in, let's just do this and see what we get. See? Just by pulling that gamma slider down, it kind of brings out the floor. I can't zoom in while it's doing the edits. No, yeah, I can. You can see there's detail. That's a Roman mosaic floor. There we go. I keep clicking and it keeps jumping. I may have overdid it with this gamma. If I pull it back some, that helps. Yeah, we can just add some contrast instead. But, you know, that's handy if I'm just going to send one to somebody or something and just touch it up. But for the most part, I don't bother to edit them. I want them to be out of camera to where I can just use them. So like I said, I've went into the camera settings and added a little bit of contrast and bumped up the saturation just a touch. That way they already look pretty well usable right away. And I don't have to mess with them much. Saves me a bunch of time that way. Let's see here. So are you shooting JPEG or RAW? I'm shooting both. I save the RAW files into a separate folder, but I'll go through the JPEGs first. And if I like the JPEGs, I don't bother using the RAWs. But if I find one JPEG that I really, really like, I'll pull the RAW file into Darktable and I'll mess with it. And so I don't edit all the RAWs. And I'm very, very selective about the RAWs I mess with. I used to go through all the RAW files, do all the RAW edits, do all the exports, and the JPEGs were backups. Now, the JPEGs are so good today, I use the JPEGs and the RAWs are my backups. I'm reading Hassan's note. He says I have a Tilta portable charging station that fits 4 batteries. Pretty cool little box. Looks like a small hex screw toolbox, but works well and decently compact. That's interesting. What I like about these is that they have these dust caps you don't really need the dust cap. It's just it came with them, so I use them. But, you know, the port's straight on the battery. All you need is a USB-C cable. And literally, like, see the lamp? It'll turn green when it's charged. Let's see if I can get it. Yeah, there you go. You can see it there. You know, that's a data cable. Works fine. Might ought to charge this one. It looks like it's needing it. But today's camera of choice will probably be the Nikon D200. I've been walking around Chattanooga with it here lately. This afternoon, I plan on going for a photo walk with Teresa. Let's see. All right, Ron's talking to Hassan. Love the shot from Turkey. Thank you, Phil. Woody Mallory, you're in here too. Wow. Dang, we got a bunch of people in here now. Yeah, I didn't announce the stream. I'm sorry. And wish you'd have known earlier. I should have put up a post or something earlier today, but didn't really have a lot of time to get it going. And it's been so busy here lately in the machine shop, I haven't had time to make videos. So I figured I'd just spool up a stream, talk to you guys, share some of the photos. But yeah, the travel kit keeps shrinking for me. And I've almost got it down to just one camera and one lens. If I can find a suitable replacement for this one, I'll probably get a Z mount for it. I do have an announcement about, that's not an announcement, just to chat with you. Randall's in the house. Hey, Randall, how you doing? I'm getting another 105. I got one from Randall. It's right up there. I have yet to review it. I got rid of my 105 f2.5 like an idiot. I'm probably going to pick another one of them up in the not too distant future. I have my 105 f2 DC Nikkor. I have a 105 f4 macro lens. And I'm about to get the 105 f1.4. I sent my 200 millimeter micro Nikkor to MPB to trade in to put towards the purchase of the 105 f1.4 because that'll give me autofocus on the ZF with the FTZ2, and it's for my Sacred Heart singing stuff. I've been shooting manual focus with the F2, and I shoot it mainly because it's got F2. F2, I need the light. The venues where they have these singings is always real dim. It's like weddings, you know. The churches are always dimly lit, and you need all the aperture you can get just to get light so you can keep your ISO below 20 million. And so I'm going to get that 105 f1.4 which will give me another stop of light, but it's a AFS lens, so it's autofocus on the FTZ, and that'll allow me to have autofocus again. That's how I'm solving the whole not being able to get a AFD autofocus lens adapter. Those, Mega Dap is making one, and they're selling them on eBay direct to consumer right now. But I just having real trouble with dropping the coin on a lens adapter direct from China. And if it don't work, you got literally no recourse. I mean, until I can find them for sale at some reputable place like B&H, Autorama, even Amazon, once you see them on there, I'll get one. But I'm not throwing the dice with an eBay purchase like that, especially with them as expensive as they are. And Matt Granger reviewed it, and it did okay, but it hunted a lot. And if you put these AFD lenses on my D200, there's no hunting. It's like straight to focus, and you can tell that there's a little bit of extra communications having to happen with the adapter and the camera, to get it to work. It's working. It worked pretty well, but it's just not as good as I want yet. And I can have autofocus with that 105 f1.4, and you can get them second-handed for reasonable money. I think it's like right at $1,000 for an excellent condition example at MPB, and MPB is reputable. I have had zero trouble with them. I've dealt with them a couple of times now, and everything I've got from them has worked perfectly. Let's see here. Love the stream and all the pictures, but I have to run. Good to see you, Terrell. Thank you for showing up for a while. Interesting button assignment, Ron. Oh. Has the 180, which I love, and it's smaller than most lenses. Okay, nice. I'm using the HEIF RAW files now instead of JPEG RAW. Ah, so you're using that high efficiency image codec? Cool. I didn't know that was an option, just to tell you the truth. Doesn't mean I'm hitting red, but this setup really works for me. Ah. With the Lumix hybrid zoom, you can turn a 24 to 60 into a 24 to 250 in camera. Wow. I'm scrolling through the chat to see what I've missed. There's a lot going on here. Let's see. Let me pull this up. All right. Oh, here we go. Oh, wow. Now, YouTube promised me no commercial breaks, and it said the ads would be on a sidebar. So y'all tell me if they lied to me or not. That's the only reason I left monetization on, because it popped up a window and said the ads will now appear on the side of the stream, because apparently it realized I was shutting ads off through the stream, and it auto-enabled this sidebar ad thing. So y'all tell me if it's doing commercial breaks during the stream, then I need to know that so I can go in and cut off the monetization. Haven't seen any ads at all. Okay, good. They lied. Ron's like, they lied. It is regular ads. Really? All right. I know for next time. That's good. That's good intel. No ads or sidebar. Huh. And Ron has had 3. Bonsai trees. That'd be cool. C2C Disciple says for some reason he wants to do bonsai tree photos. Yeah, the reason I sent the 200 millimeter micro nickel in, because that's like a holy grail lens for a lot of people. The reason I used it or sent it in is I literally haven't gotten it out of the hard shell case I was storing it in probably 2 years at all. I just didn't shoot with it. It's a beautiful lens. It takes really crisp photos. But I could get photos in my world that were, I want to say, just as good with 105s. And I've got an extender that's it's like a spacer. You know, it's like a, what do you call them? What's the little macro spacer adapters that goes between the lens and the camera, gives you closer focus. There's one made for the 105 that essentially makes it a 200 millimeter when you add that adapter, and allows you to focus a lot closer. And that one, those work really well for me. I've got, like, right up here is a 100 millimeter, I think it's a Pentax. Let me see. It's right here. Yeah, Honeywell Pentax. And I use this one for product photography. Man, this is a nice lens. It's got it's just glass smooth. It takes stunningly crisp photos. I've got it on it's an M42 mount lens, and it's currently adapted to Leica L mount because I put it on my SL2, which is 40 something megapixels. So that gives you incredible resolution. Sorry about that. With a really good lens that's really stunningly sharp. I love this lens. For product photos, for the machine shop, this is usually the one I grab. This and the SL2. And I get super usable images. And then, like I said, I've got 3 other 105 millimeters. So now I have 4. And that 105 I got from Randall is a macro lens. It's the MC. It's right here. It's even got the lens hood. I really need to review it. This is a wonderful lens. Get the light on it right where you can see it. Get it back here where it's in focus, because I got it focused on me. I turned the autofocus off on the Z50 because it wants to hunt. So to reduce hunting, I just turned it off. But the only reason I don't use this lens for the Sacred Harbor is it's an f2.8. So I've already lost a stop of light by using this. It would probably be okay. You know, the ISO would just double one time over. But I really can't lower the shutter speed anymore. I normally shoot at 125th of a second shutter speed as it is. And that's pushing it. I mean, with moving people, it freezes them sufficiently. But there's still a little bit of motion blur. But when the images are scaled down for where I share them on Facebook or whatever for a computer monitor, it's not really that bad. I mean, people love the photos. They bug me, you know. And like I said, if I could get that stop of light back by getting an f2 or f1.4 lens, that's absolutely what I want to do. But yeah, I really need to shoot with this one do some cool macro photos with it. If YouTube Premium won't get ads, I am not a premium. Oh, okay. It's good to know. Still no ads on my end. Maybe it's the internet provider thing. Maybe. Scriptwick says his travel kit is the Pentax 16 to 50 2.8, the 55 to 300 variable aperture, which is the Pentax APS-C camera, gives me 24 to 450 millimeters equivalent in 2 lenses. That's a lot of range. For me, long lenses on travel doesn't really, I have yet to find a lot of need for it. It would have been cool to have to maybe have 200 millimeters when I did that photo of the Acropolis at night. Because my buddy Ken, he brought his 70 to 200 and he was running Canon gear. I think he had a 5D Mark II or 4, 5D Mark IV. And he had I don't remember what his walk around lens was. 16 to 35 maybe. It was a wide angle lens, but he ran it most of the time, and then he would get that 70 to 200 out occasionally and take some pictures with it. But for me, there wasn't that much that I needed a long lens for, so that's why I took the 24 to 50 and then a 50 millimeter prime. That's interesting. DuckDuckGo will kill the ads, but it won't let you comment either. Huh. Randall says he likes using the Canon 50mm FD lenses with an adapter. You can put it on Sony or Nikon or Lumix or, and of course, Canon. I like that, Randall. That's pretty cool. Roger says he quit counting the ads. The last few side and early were full screen. Yeah. All right. I'm on to them now. Okay. I will. I'll know next time just to shut them down, even if it lies to me and tells me it'll only put them on the side. Because it did. It had a pop-up when I disabled the ad, turned off monetization. It immediately popped up a window that said, live streams will now have ads in the sidebar. Do you wish to enable auto ads or whatever? Yeah, I'll get them next time. Don't worry. Thank you for the intel. Hassan says Nikon just dropped a 16 to 50 2.8 VR for their APS-C cameras. Yeah, that looks like a good lens too, and that's that's essentially 24 to 70. So, is Ron leaving? Oh yeah, I see it now. Thanks, Ron. Have a good one. Appreciate you dropping in for a while. You see me out shooting this afternoon. Yeah, I'll be up in Athens, Tennessee. Or Morristown or whatever that is where you live. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Maybe I should look at what the 24 to 70 2.8 is. That would be a stop faster than this one. Cover the same range, and if it's lighter and it's Z mount and it fits inside this envelope, maybe it would be the better choice in all reality. And then I could eliminate one of the lenses and I could just take the 24 to 70 and not have to deal with it. Especially the S lens, because the S lenses are weather sealed. If the 24 to 70 2.8 is an S, I don't know. The F4, which this is F4. Maybe I could get that 24 to 70 F4. It's pretty small. But there's a way around it. That's what I was thinking. The Sigma 50 and 60 F2 would be perfect for you. Yeah, I took this one. I took the 51.8S as backup, but I just never used it. It rode around in the camera or in the backpack the whole time. But see, now I travel with it's a Mystery Ranch backpack, and but if you've never used a Mystery Ranch backpack, you don't know what you're missing. It's a different experience when you hike with a backpack that doesn't make your back hurt, and they work. Whoever the engineers are that's there, they are the magic. They know what they're doing. Yes, Phil, that 24 to 70 F4S is a winner. You're right. I had one, remember, with my Z6. I bought it as the combo, and I used it for a while. Great little lens. Be nice to have that extra stop. Like I said, maybe if I can lay hands on one at a camera shop or something, see how bulky it is and all, because this ain't very bulky. It is heavy. That's the deal, though. It's heavy. Maybe I should weigh this and check the specs, because this thing it's got to be 2 pounds. This thing's heavy. Oh, you did? Okay. I knew you didn't have one for a long time. All right, Hassan, I'll take you up on that. Where was I at? I was in the middle of rambling about something. Oh, the Mystery Ranch backpack. Yes, the way it's made, it's perfect for air travel, because if you put stuff in it and they need to inspect it, like search your pack, the top pouch just clips on with 2 quick buckles and it'll flip out of the way. Then you can unzip 2 zippers and the whole backpack, the front of it, just fillets open, and you can access everything in the pack from one position. So you don't have to take all the stuff out of the top to get to the bottom. You can just slide everything over a little bit and reach down into the bottom. So if there's, like, when I took my ham radios out to Arizona, the computer flagged them as problematic or whatever. I don't know what it flagged them as, but it flagged them. So they won't let you touch the bag while they do their inspection, but you can point it out and like walk them through it to speed things up. And I showed her just unbuckle that, and this will lay over. Then you can pull this zipper, and this one you can just open the front. And she was like, "Man, that made that so much easier," And of course, once they wiped the little bomb detection swabs on my radio and run them through the computer, it was like, "Have a nice day," and they sent me on my way. But yeah, I like that. And once you get to the motel, if you want to get like, for a jacket, I took a pullover, a fleece pullover. And if I wanted to get it out, I could just unzip it, get it out, close it, zip it, and back on my back in 10 seconds. It was really easy to use. And I've really come to like that pack for air travel because it'll fit in any overhead, bar none. Even the little commuter jets, it fits right up in the overhead. And they're even ambitious enough at the airline to think it'll fit under the seat in front of me, which I thought was pretty ambitious. But that's the way I like to travel now. Whatever will fit in that backpack is all I'm going to take. And I will arrange it to where I can take a camera and my associative equipment and my clothes and some snacks and, the usual little odds and ends like the charging cables and headphones for my phone if I want to listen to music by myself or something. Pencils to write with or whatever. But yeah, that worked out really well. And I didn't miss anything. Like I said, there was a couple of times 200 millimeters would have been nice, but it wasn't a deal breaker for me. So I was able to move on with life and not just feel terrible for not bringing all of my gear. And when you get back home and you look at all that in retrospect, it makes you realize how little you need to take really good photos of whatever. Would have a tripod been nice a couple of times? Yeah, doing those long exposures in Athens, it would have been great to have had a tripod because I could have changed the angle of perspective of the camera a little better. Maybe pointed it down more, pointed it over this way because I was just propping it on that handrail and, trying to not let it fall off the handrail the best I could. That could have been a lot better. But other than that, I didn't miss anything. Like I said, the cameras have gotten so good, you can shoot handheld at ridiculously low speeds now. It's surprising how slow. Some of them were 1/8 second photos. Yeah, I didn't have a tripod. I just leaned it on the handrail. I got this leather strap on it, and I would set the leather strap under the lens to kind of dampen it for vibration, a little bit soften it so that because as them buses would go by, that diesel engine noise would vibrate the handrail, and this would dampen that a little bit because it's going to pick that up because there was the handrail to give you a better view. They put the safety mesh was actually glass panels. So you had glass panels, which are going to resonate with engine vibration of the buses or whatever going by. Then the handrail on top was aluminum. It's like all these hard materials. And yeah, that's pretty much what I used on my whole trip for 2 weeks in Greece. 2 of these Viltrox batteries, I charged them up. What I do is I carried one in my pocket and one in the camera. And if I didn't run out of battery in the camera, when I got to the next hotel that night, I swapped batteries and then I just charged up the one that was in the camera. And the next morning it would be hot. I'd put it in my pocket. The one in the camera is ready to go. And that's how I just rotated them out every day like that. And one day, like I said, I got into the second battery. So I charged one battery while I was going to supper. When I come back from supper, it was topped off. And then I put the really dead one on, let it charge overnight while we slept. And the next morning it was ready to go, And I came back, like I said, with almost 1,500 photos from the trip. And I was kind of dreading wading through them. It took me probably 6 hours to cull through them. And let's see, what's this file got in it? And I got down, no, this is the book folder. Let me go up one. Because I've got my keepers. The keeper folder has 355 pictures in it. And out of them 355, I picked out 76 for the book, for our photo album. Randall says his friend vacuum seals her clothes for trips, but brings an extra suitcase that is empty for the clothes she used and for things she bought. Yeah, I've seen people doing that on our trip. We had a couple that was with us that actually bought a check bag while they were there because they bought so many mementos for their kids and their family and stuff that they packed all the stuff that they bought in that check bag, checked it, and sent it on. But now, I would like to do the vacuum deal if I could get like a hand vacuum pump and vacuum bag it down. I normally travel pretty thin on clothes. I travel typically with the clothes I'm wearing and 2 changes will be in the backpack. That way, in the room at night, I'll wash my clothes in the sink and hang them up and let them dry in the motel room. And they usually dry by the next morning, unless it's particularly humid. Then they won't dry by the next morning. But it's and you're wearing damp clothes sometimes. But that way, I don't have to carry many clothes, and I just rotate them and wash them and then hang them up and let them dry. If you get into the room pretty early, you have to do a little logistics. You get into the room, go ahead and take a shower immediately, and then wash your clothes you were wearing, hang them up, then go to supper, because then you're giving them longer to dry, and that seems to work pretty well. Another ad. All right. Phil says going to the Tennessee-Oklahoma game in Knoxville tonight, and his phone is going to be his only camera. Thank you, Trey. All right, I'm going to shut the stream down and get my camera gear ready for my photo walk this afternoon. I just wanted to give you guys the lowdown on what I took to Greece as far as my kit was and what the photos kind of looked like that I got while I was there, and chat with you guys a little bit about that sort of stuff. Oh, Woody's asking Phil about the Oklahoma team. Interesting. But yeah, so until next time, I'm going to tell you to get your camera out, no matter what kind it is, and go take some pictures with it. All right? So until then, we'll see you guys later, and y'all stay safe. Bye-bye.